You crack the window, and and all you can hear is from the traffic and all this stuff.
Fuck you, buddy. You're like, oh yeah, that beautiful city that I love so much.
Oh dear. Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Audiophiles. I feel bad, and I felt worse. I'm a creep, yeah. I'm a jerk. Come on, touch me, I'm sick. More on that later. But first, a tune to listen to. Andy, what do you have for us and the lovely viewers?
I have a band called Jets to Brazil.
I feel like I've heard that name before, but that's probably as far as I've just heard that name before. I don't know the output of said Jetsters.
Fair, good.
Rio based or not.
I'll tell you what, they're not. The name of the track by Jets to Brazil is called Sweet Avenue.
Sweet Avenue.
Yeah, it's a lovely little place. So go off, give it a listen, and I'll be jonesing to know what you make of it.
Yeah, brush your teeth afterwards. Okay.
Promise.
Tasting you in rain, I walk down to the train, try not to look down. This day could someday be an anniversary. Everything is light and sound. Facing forwards, going slowly, wait for you to show me where this train wants to go. Living by the hour, I stop for every flower. Everything is soft and slow. Now all these tastes improve through the view that comes with you. Like they handed me my life. For the first time it felt right. Thank you for making me see there's life in me. It was dying to get out. Holding you, we make two spoons beneath an April moon. Everything is soft and sweet. This cigarette, it could seduce a nation with its smoke. Crawling down my tired throat, scratches part of me that's purring, softly stirring. I'm a captain of industry, smoking famously, feet up on the windowsill. Looking at all these trees, I feel affinity with everything so soft and still.
Oh, wow, halfway through. Yeah, it's nice to start to it. Really, really sounding guitar. He's got a decent voice. Yeah, it's all right. So there's some sort of poetic retelling of an episode or a day or a story, reference to a cigarette. I really, really like the drums on this. They're almost quite jazzy, and they just add a little sparkle and life to it, very subtly. Um, it's sounding really close as well, the way it's done, which is nice, because it's kind of almost conversational the way he's portraying the story. So it feels quite intimate, which is a nice touch as well. Okay, let's see how it goes.
Budding at my fingertips, touching you, I start to bloom. Alive with trains and passing ships, soft and sweet along your lips now. I go, oh wow. Thank you for taking me from my monastery. I was dying to get out. With tears of gratitude, I like my latitude. Cross-town train to you. Now all these tastes improve through the view that comes with you. Like they handed me my life for the first time, it felt worth it, like I deserved it.
That's quite pleasant, mellowish. Yeah, it felt really sort of rich as well. They did a good job with the production of this. Um, like I said before, I really like the drums on this, because it could have been quite easy sort of placeholder stuff, but he gave it splashes and tinkles all the way through. There's a nice bit where the bass like really sort of came in for just a few bits, and then the organ as well. Yeah, overall, I've wrote down some lyrics. I'm going to have to try and see what I think about this, whether there's other sides to this. It could be about vampires. I guess we'll have a chat with Andy and find out.
I see your flight has landed. All right. So what was your experience with this song like? What'd you think of it?
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. I didn't dislike it at all. I enjoyed it actually, but I don't think it hit me like it was intended. I didn't connect with it, which I think, given the nature of the song, probably. And I'm wondering if I missed something particularly in the lyrics, but I'll go into it. So I'll just tell you how yeah, so it's a really sweet sounding, very rich guitar at the start. And for the first portion, it's kind of just strummed very sparingly, just framing the vocals. And now the chap singing, I don't know the band, so I don't know him. He has a decent voice. I'm not sure if it's as decent as he thinks to carry it as far as it did before the rest of the band kicked in. It probably just went on a little touch too much for me, anyway. That's just a slight, there's certainly nothing wrong with his voice, but I'd have preferred if it had kicked in like a few bars earlier. But it's still pleasant. And it's and he starts to sort of play it a bit more as he starts singing, and then there's a really nice bass comes in that holds the rest of the band entering the frame.
Mm.
And it's a really gentle, mellow tune that kind of meanders along, but it lets the bass in particular flourish every now and then, which I really liked. The drums, however, are a completely different point of view. Now, without going OTT and ruining the whole ambience, they were wonderful. I mean, they really were. They had a lovely jazzy, splashy feel to me. You know how I feel about that. And it just completely stole the show for me at certain points that I was not listening to a word he said. But it was a really great example of control and touch, because he just did enough to tinker and create interest, but not going overboard and completely ruining the song, which he would do. So I just couldn't stop honing in on them. But yeah, he's singing away, and it's kind of like, on the face of it, a sort of narration of maybe some sort of episode, or yeah. So I caught some of the lyrics, and some, in fishing terms, got away from me. And it's really, as they'll like, I'll go into that in a second, but yeah, it continued on, and his phrasing is quite nice as well, actually, the way he sort of sings certain lines. And then this organ comes in really briefly, and it sounds great, but it's like 4 seconds or something. And then it comes back later as it goes through to the end. And I really like that. It was a nice sort of cameo, 3/4 of the way through. So as he's talking, he mentions a few things, and I was trying to write down some lyrics, because this is clearly quite a sort of intimate song, and it's heavy on the lyrics, as it were, and the intent, rather than the music, which is very pleasant and mellow and nice, but nothing that would stop you in your tracks. So these are the bits I've got, and these are real snatches, and I apologize, but I kept getting distracted by those bloody drums, but which I loved, again, if I didn't say so enough. So he mentions taste at the start and a few more times, and he mentions other things a few more times as well. And I'm struggling to get an overall picture here, apart from it just being a narration. So he says these are lines or snatches of lines, and this won't make any sense to read them out, but I'm going to anyway. But he says something about where this train wants to go, and he mentions train a few times as well, and it's about stopping for every flower, and about making 2 spoons beneath the moon, which I really like that idea. And then he talks about his cigarette seducing a nation, and smoke going down his throat, and scratching the part of him that purrs, or something like that. And then there's another bit later on where it says about captain of industry, and he's got his feet up on, I can't remember what it was now. And then he mentions trees, and then there's more trains, and then there's something about thank you for taking me from my monastery, which is a nice way of phrasing that particular intent. And then it's trains again, and then it talks about the taste improving because of this encounter, which is interesting again. So the whole feel of it kind of put me in mind, or reminded me of, not musically, but like Perfect Day by Lou Reed. I got that feel. It's like an experience with somebody else, and it kind of opened up the world. Obviously with Lou Reed, it's Junkies in the Park and shit like that as well, which he doesn't quite mention it. It's lovely, but there's quite a sinister side to it. But I don't feel there was any, from what he was saying, he was doing it in a more poetic way. But I don't think there was it's not about vampires or Jesus. I think it was, on the face of it, what it was, which was an appreciation of somebody else basically taking him out of his headspace or whatever, and enjoying their company. And if it is that, then it's a very nice and sweet song. I will say this as well, that the production on this was really clever. I mean, it was excellent, because it felt really close, and it felt really intimate. as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So all of that drew me in, but I think I didn't quite connect with it in a way. I think some people would listen to this and it would melt them, and then it just didn't. And maybe it's a first listen thing, but I found it. There's nothing about it I didn't like, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Perhaps I'm just hurrying up a bit at the start, but I found it really pleasant and enjoyable.
Yeah.
It was a
Cool.
sweet mellow song.
Yeah.
What's
Hence
not
the
to
name.
like?
Yeah, exactly. No, you pretty much summed it up well. I'll go into the lyrics a little bit later.
Yeah.
But I think the general crux of what you're getting at is what he intended when he penned them. So, yeah, Jets to Brazil, American indie rock / emo band from Brooklyn, New York. They formed in 1997 and were active until 2003. They were founded by Blake Schwarzenbach, the former frontman of Jawbreaker, who was a famous punk rock band out of the United States from the mid 80s. And I think they would get back together later in the 2000s at some point, I think. But yeah, he formed it along with Jeremy, and forgive me, I think it's Chatelaine, previously the guitarist and vocalist of a band called Handsome. That was a mid 90s sort of supergroup situation.
Yeah.
And when Schwarzenbach relocated to New York City after Jawbreaker's disbanding, the two began working on 4-track recordings aided by drum machines until former Texas Is the Reason drummer Chris Daly joined the band, followed by Brian Mariansky to round out the 4-piece. The origin of the band's name came from a suggestion by Daly after seeing it on a poster in the 1961 film Breakfast at Tiffany's. So I guess he sort of spotted it in the background and it said Jets to Brazil, and he thought, oh, that's the one. So yeah. Their debut album, Orange Rhyming Dictionary, was assembled in the summer of 1998 at Easley McCain Recording Studios in Memphis, Tennessee, previously home of indie rock luminaries Sonic Youth, Guided by Voices, Wilco, and Pacer. So some big names in sort of a similar kind of genre. They went
Can I just ask, was that thumbnail of the video, was that the cover of the album?
Yes, that is the cover of the album.
Very pleasing to the eye. That
Isn't
design.
It?
So
I thought you might like that. Yeah. It's a good album cover, no doubt about it. And as someone who has a very specific affinity for eyeballing ones that kind of tickle your fancy and it's just something that interests you, I thought, John would probably like that one. It's pretty aesthetically pleasing. So yeah, fans and critics saw a shift from sort of the pop punk rock sound of Jawbreaker into this more indie emo post-hardcore territory. Obviously, this isn't as indicative of that because this is the sort of the softer song on the album, but there's some other stuff where I think you could understand this take a little bit more if you were to give it a listen. And it utilizing like sparser song arrangements and thin vocal harmonies in place of Schwarzenbach's gritty punk voice. So I don't think you're wrong in being like it's a good voice, but it's not the great. But how many punk rock singers are like vocally trained, or you know what I mean? So for him to even put himself out there and kind of show that he had this in his bag of tricks is really cool and interesting, especially at the time. And if you had followed him in his previous band. All music reviewer Mike Duranko said the band live up to their hype, noting that the majority of the tracks clock in at an epic length. They rated the album a 4 out of 5 stars. Cheryl Botchick of CMJ New Music Report said it managed a rare accomplishment. The album actually picks up in speed, catchiness, and fervor as it progresses. Inc. 19 writer Andrew Chadwick found the lyrics like an old friend with fresh heartache. Pitchfork writer Brent DiCrescenzo said Schwarzenbach was really clever and has a penchant. I saw that has a penchant for penning cynical slogans. His lyrics have more room to breathe, and fluorescent illuminated air becomes a fourth instrument. And they rated the album an 8.7 out of 10. So yeah, we will go over the lyrics and then I'll jump in with a little synopsis someone had to say about the song in particular. Tasting you in rain, I walked down to the train, trying not to look down. This day could someday be an anniversary. Everything is light and sound. Facing forwards, going slowly, wait for you to show me where this train wants to go. Living by the hour, I stop for every flower. Everything is soft and slow. Now all these tastes improve through the view that comes with you. Like they handed me my life for the first time. It felt right. Thank you for making me see there's a life in me. It was dying to get out. Holding you, we make two spoons beneath an April moon. Everything is soft and sweet. This cigarette, it could seduce a nation with its smoke. Crawling down my tired throat scratches part of me that's purring, softly stirring. I'm a captain of industry, smoking famously, feet up on the windowsill. Looking at all these trees, I feel affinity with everything so soft and still. Budding at my fingertips, touching you, I start to bloom. Alive with trains and passing ships, soft and sweet along your lips, now I go, oh, wow. Thank you for taking me from my monastery. I was dying to get out. With tears of gratitude, I like my latitude, crosstown train to you. Now all these tastes improve through the view that comes with you. Like they handed me my life for the first time. It felt worth it, like I deserved it. I think those are really, yeah. I think those are really. I can't imagine the feeling of being the person who inspired these words. Like, if he ever showed them this, and how moved I would be if someone said this shit about me. So I just think it's absolutely sweet. And it's kind of, punk is so hard and rough and rigid and seemingly like romantic, like without romance. And yet here's this guy who came from that world and can somehow do this, right? And it's great. I love it. It's knocking down stereotypes or going against the trends or whatever presuppositions there were about the genre and those in it. So yeah, I really enjoy those lyrics. This from Jesse Lynn McCain's.
Oh, can I just say before you, because I'm looking absolute dick after you say this bit, but it was interesting the way, because he uses in there some very nice poetic imagery, but also some quite cliche tropes as well, and they're mixed in between the two. So the touching you and budding and that sort of thing. It's almost Disney-esque. And there's other bits that aren't as well. And this sort of, it keeps flitting between, because like, I'm a captain of industries. There's this Walter Mitty thing. It's in his head. It's how he feels. He's the king of the world or whatever.
Yeah.
And the use of taste, I don't quite get, but trains are very interesting as well, because they can be seen in a number of ways. Because trains can be transitory as well. So it may be that this feeling or relationship is transitory. Also, trains are very fucking rigid. They don't take any turns. They go from A to B. And so maybe this is the course that we're on. So again, these are all just, but it's just interesting. These picked it, and it may be he just literally was on a train to go and see his significant other, and that's when he wrote it, and that's why it's got train in it loads. So it doesn't have to mean all these things, but it's interesting imagery. When you get poetry, you get images.
Yes, and the allusions to taste could be the most tawdry of explanations. But it could also be the idea that taste is a lot like a memory. And if taste lingers in your mouth from something you once had, and that the essence of it is still there enough for you to be able to conjure the original flavor that you had when you consumed it, that memory and the nostalgia is sort of that aftertaste that's lingering around in your brain. So I think that there's some of this, like, taste and memory, you can kind of correlate with one another. So I think
definitely. I was wondering if he was trying to do all the senses, because he was talking about stopping to, was it touch every flower, he said?
Yeah, yeah, I think it was. Yes.
I don't really smell or touch because I thought he was going to go through all the senses, and that's where taste comes in. But
Yeah, living for the hour I stop for every flower is
so there's your smell,
yeah,
and there's a taste, and there's the imagery. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So this writer, Jesse Lynn McCains of Medium.com, wrote of Sweet Avenue. Sweet Avenue made me nostalgic the first time I heard it, before I had any memories of my own to attach to it. It's that kind of song. It's just Blake Schwarzenbach's voice and an acoustic guitar for the first minute and 22. And even when the full band comes in with that melodic bass line and the soft ting of the cymbal, it's still so deliciously lackadaisical. The lyrics mention most of the things that tug on the strings of my emo heart: rains and trains, moons and cigarettes. It's sort of sexy too. The first line is tasting you and rain. This is what it really sounds like. Waking up with a lover and not wanting to wake them. So you slip out their arms, leave them a note, grab your jacket. The rain is chilly but gentle when it gets under your collar and onto your skin, and the whole city smells clean. Everything kind of hurts to look at. You're so happy, but also so sad because all the intense emotions twine together. And you see every street sign and sewer grate with new clarity. You get home, crack the window, put on a record. The needle's dusty and there's a pop hiss mixed with the music from outside. Comes the plink of rain on the fire escape, and you light a cigarette and sigh, and everything is soft and sweet. So yeah, saccharine probably, but it is still sweet in the essence of like, isn't this nice to see that the human condition is capable of this, while we see so many things every day where that would suggest we're not capable of something like this. So it is sweet, it is beautiful, it is romantic. Perhaps it'd be a song better offered up in the month of February or something like that, but it's great. I love it. It pulls at me. The first time I heard this, when I was like late teens, because I didn't hear it right away. This was actually recommended to me by a guy that I was in a band with, my buddy Joe, and he said, "You got to check this out. We should cover this." And sure enough, we did. And yeah, it was a beautiful song, and it went over really well with the ladies when we play it live. So that's why I wanted to bring it to the table. I thought you might enjoy it. So there was good songwriting in this. So
yeah, it's interesting, and I think that bit you read out there was written by someone of poetic leanings as well. Poets are dual-edged. They show us the truth by telling us lies. So the city smells clean. The city never smells clean, ever.
No, it always smells
you picture it because they say it. Yeah.
Yes, and
BO and all that.
Engine. Yeah, exactly.
But you do picture that because they've said it, and they said it in such a way. And you go, "Oh yeah, I know what you mean." It never happened.
Well,
and you crack the window, and all you're gonna hear is from the traffic and all that stuff.
Fuck you, buddy. You're like, "Oh yeah, that beautiful city I love so much."
Oh dear.
Well, thanks for giving this a listen and entertaining me and my romantic ways on this one. Guys out there in the listening audience, let us know what you thought of Jets to Brazil and this track Sweet Avenue, and its poetic like lyrics. If you have anything to offer, either similar or completely different, but that you would like us to check out, feel free to hit up the comments field. We are collating all of this information, and we'll be continuing to do our Friday episodes that you guys offer up. Definitely want to make you guys feel like you're part of the community. And if you want to feel like more of the community as well, take the bull by the horns and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're feeling froggy, leap and share some of this stuff out. We're trying to grow the community that I've alluded to, and we can't do that without you guys. And we really sincerely appreciate that. All that being said, keep an ear out for new music. The tunes are always out there. And John and I will see all y'all, and hopefully some more, on the next installment of The Audiophiles. See you later, guys.